It's time, my friends, for another Devo tip on end time bedtime stories. We're going to look at perilous times. How can this be a good end time bedtime story? Well, when you've got gum stuck in your hair and your best friend tells you that you're suddenly his third best friend and your brother pushes you in the mud, then you know you're having a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. When it happened to Alexander, he decided it was time to move far away to Australia. Surely people in Australia never have bad days. Sometimes the last days, which is the present age, can feel like a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad time to live. But Paul warned us. He said, "Understand this, that in the last days, perilous times will come." 2 Timothy 3:1. But what does he mean by perilous times? Well, the last days will be characterized by an ebb and flow of toxic seasons, not by perpetual unmitigated evil. Thank goodness. But we should ask ourselves, are we living in one of those perilous times? How do we know we're in a perilous season? Are there signs? What's striking about Paul's description of a perilous time is that he doesn't include big calamities like war and pandemics. Instead, Paul lists 19 terrible, horrible, no good, very bad attitudes and behaviors in 2 Timothy 3:2-5. We do have a word that sums up all 19: narcissism. According to Paul, narcissists feel a certain grandiosity about themselves because they are so special and must be right and better than everyone else. Because narcissists assume godlike qualities, they must control everything, and they will stop at nothing to achieve their goals. In other words, they have the appearance of godliness, but behind the scenes, they're animals. That's the message. Narcissists also lack the ability to empathize. Because they can't connect emotionally with others, narcissists use patronizing tones. Everything is perceived as a threat. No wonder they feel justified to brutally assault the fundamental decencies of life. In a toxic season, people are lovers of self rather than lovers of God. So, how is this a good end-time bedtime story? Well, you keep reading. In a terrible, horrible, no good, very bad, perilous time, Paul instructs us to stay clear of these people and trust the Lord. They will not get very far, he says, for their folly will be plain to all. This is good news. Perilous times ebb and flow. But when the tide turns, the folly of narcissism will be evident to all. What a comforting end-time bedtime story. Let's pray that times of refreshing may come from the presence of the Lord, that it will come sooner than later, so we don't have to move to Australia.